You think you know me.
Today on Security VIP, we feature the founder and CEO of Hive Logic, Nate Green. Get ready for nothing but the truth.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Security VIP podcast. It's your home for nothing but the truth. As always, I am your host, Taylor May. And on today's episode, we are featuring the founder and CEO of a company called Hive Logic, the man himself, Mr. Nate Green. First time on the podcast, man. How are you?
Good, man. How's everything going?
It's going good, man. You know, we had like a crazy winter storm here in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and of course, Texas shuts down when we see white stuff. You know, but other than that, we're doing good.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're safe.
No, man, it's I've been wanting to have you on the podcast. I've obviously known you throughout the years. You were at a system integrator. I think we met. Honestly, it was probably when you were at Prime. I think we didn't meet when you were at Convergent. I think you were at Prime.
Okay.
Back then, and obviously Prime's a great systems integrator, and now you're doing your own thing. And so we're gonna talk about Hive, and I want to make sure we clear up any discrepancy, because I just had Ryan Schoenfeld from HiveWatch on the podcast. So we're going to talk about some of that and kind of just clear up any kind of confusion for the industry or my listeners. But first and foremost, man, let's talk about Nate Green. How about you share your history, your background, and everything about yourself?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. I was one of those guys. I was either going to be a Marine in high school or play pro football. I really didn't have a backup plan. And played football and got hurt first game in college, but I took a computer class and I enjoyed it. So when those were over, I ended up going to DeVry University for computer science. And to graduate, you had to build a senior project. And me and my buddies, we had no idea what we were going to build. And 9/11 happened. And I said, I'd like to stop that. So my dad, being a carpenter, he built me the inside of a Boeing jet. And we made a terrorist-proof cockpit, and we put video surveillance and access control in it. And for the first time ever, a pilot and a co-pilot could see what was going on behind them. So it made the news. I graduated, and a guy walked up to me from a systems integrator in Ohio called Acre Daily Integrated Systems, and he goes, "Hey, would you know what that's called?" I go, "No, a project. I graduated." He goes, "No, it's called physical security. Do you want a job?" So that's how that started. And once I got bit by that security bug, I've been in it ever since. And it's been a blessing to me, my family, my friends that I've gotten involved over the years. But it was one of those things. I love the technology piece of it, but I love the people side of it just as much. And just changed my life. It gave me purpose. It gave me a sense of doing something right for the world. It fit with me personally. And I started off in operations, programming Linnell, programming Genetec, Axis. When everybody else was saying IP would fail, I knew it would be successful because that's what I knew coming straight out of college like that. But then a great thing happened. Our sales rep left Ohio State. She took a job with Cisco, and they went to backfill it. And they said, "You don't need a sales rep in here. We just need Nate." So I learned how to do that customer service side of it and be the solution person, not just the person putting it in. And that guy gave me a chance, and we grew it with a small team from one hospital to 98 hospitals. And then a really good friend of mine in the industry, Courtney Usnick, she lined me up with one of the original founders of Convergent Technologies, Mike Kuhn. And Mike interviewed me. And the next day I was on a plane to Chicago for Q school. And I always tell this story because being a systems integrator in that small market, you just knew that market. You didn't know what other folks were doing and how they were hardening their buildings and their processes. So I always equate it to LeBron James leaving Cleveland for Miami. I got to play with a lot of really good, smart people at Convergent, and got mentorship by Mike Mathis and Amir Schechter. They had this program called Advanced Solutions, and I was like, I want to be a part of that because I could see that people didn't just want a security system; they wanted it to do something for them. And I got under their wing, learned as much as I could learn there. Then I helped Prime grow when I left Convergent. Leaving Convergent was one of the hardest decisions I ever made because I just loved them. I loved the culture there and the people and how much I learned, but I wanted to see where that next step would take me. So I was able to help a really good integrator out of Nebraska, Prime. That's where you and I reconnected. And I was able to take some of those big ideas that I learned from Convergent, covering global accounts, national accounts, and apply that to a really good integrator, and spent some time there helping them grow that market and kind of see what else was out there. And that itch just kept happening. And I'd go in front of clients, and it really hit me, Taylor, when clients would ask me, "Hey, can you get me a mass notification that does this?" Or, "When I push this button, can it alert that?" And I was like, "You already bought that. You don't need a
Right.
quote from us." And I realized something. They didn't even know what they bought, and they didn't know how to use it. And I was like, "Man, that's disheartening," because I spent months helping them and building the right solution, and they didn't even know they already had it. So that's when I saw the power of computer vision, and I was like, I met with some really good business partners of mine, and they were experts in that field. And I said, "Why don't you help this dumb industry called physical security apply that to stuff that they would use every day? This is awesome." And then I saw agentic and how it could take our voice and do things with it. And I'm like, man, could we program cards? Could we program cameras? Could we ask the system to bring up outside cameras with our voice? And they were like, yeah, that's we do that all the time. Physical security can't do that. I was like, no, man, we're still. It looks like Windows 98 compared to what you guys got. So I took that foundation concept and that voodoo that is AI and the buzzword that is AI, and I just tried to apply it to some simple things. Like, if I see a fire, I'm going to see it with computer vision through the Hive VMS. And then it knows it's fire. So then it hits our engine, and that engine's called our collector. And the collector goes, okay, I see a fire. Let me go into this SOP book that's that thick that no one's read in 7 years. And let me pull out the section that says fire, and it pops right up on the Hive and says, remain calm. Try to put it out with a fire extinguisher. If it needs to escalate it, pull the fire station, call the fire department. It walks them through those steps. And I think that's magic, right? Because as a systems integrator for 23 years, you'd hang that camera on the wall, the intercom, emergency push buttons, access control, but it became a product. It didn't become something that actually could help somebody on their worst day. And then I met with a really good security risk consultant company called Safe Passage that goes out and does risk assessments. And they put me under their hood. And I got to see from the other side how confused they were. So they'd hire a consultant to tell them what's wrong. Say, consultant, what do we do to fix it? And the consultant goes, I don't know. We don't do that piece. We just tell you what's wrong.
Yeah, right.
And then here we come as the integrator. Oh, we have a 32 megapixel camera. This can get in with NFC, Bluetooth. And the customer's like, well, is that going to mitigate my risk? So I combine what traditionally is a security integrator, a product, and a risk consultant and put it into software. So basically, I'm just taking your company's policies and procedures, using your traditional dumb devices that are out there, and making them smart to actually solve your threats and risks that pop up on a daily basis.
And born was Hive Logic.
Well, it's born, and being a dad, daughter, we had all the cool tech. We were beating our heads against the wall for a name, and I was like, what should we call it? She's reading a book. She goes, bees help each other. They all have different jobs. And she goes, they all protect the hive. I was like, that's a good name. And then I love the logical pieces of it. So the next question was, well, what color? And she goes, pink.
Of course.
I was like, all right, pink it is.
No, that's one smart girl, man. My daughter's the same way. She loves pink, and it's interesting, man. Like, your background is very interesting because you spent a lot of time on the channel side of the industry, man, with Convergent and then Prime. And by the way, how was that going to Prime after you're spending almost 6 years at Convergent, going to Prime? Did you go against Convergent at all on a lot of jobs, or you just?
Oh, no, I went. I didn't. I let those guys know. I was like, man, we took 10 years building this together. The last thing I want to do is go right after things like that. So I left on good terms with them, and still got so many dear friends there. That was an interesting market because Prime is a huge Genetech player. That was the only product that they carried, and I knew that. I knew from my days at Convergent Genetech, and that Prime was good. So their basic focus was growing outside of Nebraska. They wanted to take on more and do more. So that was my purpose there, is just to help them expand and see what that looked like, from going outside of Nebraska to other territories, and help them build that.
Well, it's interesting, man, because like all your experience, everything you just hit on, like is where founders really kind of fit their mold in the industry, because you've got so many skill sets and traits that you say, I've done this for so long, but now I'm learning this and learning this and learning it and learning this. And that's honestly what a founder does at the inception of any company, right? You wear all the hats, you do all the legwork for the majority, you fit the product in the market. And honestly, I love the name. I love the color too, man, because I don't, how many other pink companies do we have in the security industry? Maybe there's like, I can think of Dragon Fruit. That's like a pink purple
Yeah.
company. But I think you guys might be the only pink company, like authentic pink, in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, it pops out. People walk around the trade shows and they'll go, "Oh, I saw the hot pink." Now, my
Yeah,
team probably hates it because you got all these dudes, and you don't know how hard it is to find clothes and everything that has the hot pink to match the brand. But thank God for all the customization you can do now with tennis shoes and jackets and things like that.
you just need to get like a pink lifted truck for ISC West, man, and you'll be rolling and doing, man. That'd be
Well,
sick.
I have a quick update for you for that. I waited 5 years for the Cybertruck, and I just wrapped it in hot pink. I
Nice.
get yeah. My neighbors probably hate it. My wife hates it. My 16-year-old won't even ride to school in it, but my little one that's 7, she thinks it's awesome. So
There we
that's all
go.
that matters.
Exactly. That's all that matters, man. So, well, let's talk about the company, man, because I think it's interesting. We
Hmm.
talk about like this unification process in the industry, and obviously you've got proprietary systems, you've got your open systems, and you're right to your point at the system integrator side. It's all a lot about product by product by product, but when you have open systems, you want to unify those systems with other open systems, and same thing applies on the proprietary side. Maybe you're locked in and closed in, and maybe a customer wants to do a certain thing, but they can't do that with the proprietary system. So talk about like this all-in-one advantage you guys have from an end-to-end standpoint, especially for like GSOCs and SOCs that maybe have different silos of products, or maybe they are using like an open ecosystem, but they don't necessarily have all the right steps to use them properly or put them in effect properly. How is Hive Logic solving that issue?
Great question. So we'll go in, and it all starts with like a pre-assessment. Where do you want to get to? And then what do you have today? And a lot of these people invest in good hardware manufacturers, Mercury, Azure, ZK, Axis, two-door controllers. And I thought, why do the manufacturers have control over these GSOC and all these integrators? And at the end, ultimate, the end user, why do they have the control? They can supply chain hit me hard. And I know everybody kind of learned lessons from that. I said, what about if we made our access control talk to any board? What if we didn't make it a hard flip to take an old Linnell system that's 2012 and put it in the cloud and host it with Hive and just use the controllers? And that's where this was born. I got frustrated because the PSIMs kind of came and went, very hard to manage on a global scale, national scale. And so this just makes sense. I think a lot of people enjoy coming up to our booths and talking to us and seeing 6 different manufacturers of door controllers all in one database communicating. And when I add a new employee, it goes into all 6. When I delete them, it takes them out of all 6. It really gives the access control back to those organizations. No longer are they controlled by Linnell or Genetech, and it has to be that. And then it's a nightmare to break it. We can go into those Honeywell, Genetech, ZK systems, you name it. And if somebody needs a two-door controller, just add any brand you want. If Access has it ready to go and you need that, put it in. If you want to pivot from Mercury and start using Azure, put it in. It's based on what the risk acceptance is from a cyber standpoint, where they want to head. Are they married to a particular brand? But it gives them back that freedom. But the ultimate piece is it's not a heavy lift. I'm not having to forklift good working cameras and control panels to make them be able to have a SaaS access control and video system. So that's where it kind of gives them that freedom back, but it also, from a dollars and cents standpoint, allows them to get to their end goal without ripping out good hardware. And Mike Kuhn will laugh when he hears this, but Mike Kuhn goes, "Who in the hell cares about what hardware makes a door go click?" And he would always tell me that. And I'm like, it's amazing because we put them on a pedestal when really the software is what matters: who, what, when, and why. And that's where I always his words helped create this, because it's so important. And then people talk about unifying, and we have access control and video, but the two don't talk together. So that's where I wanted to develop. If Taylor comes in and I hit Taylor's card, our video picks right up and goes, "Is that Taylor?" And if Taylor badges in and three people tailgate in, our videos with the AI says, "I see four humans, but I only see one badge swipe." That's an alert, right? So I wanted to truly marry that together, where it wasn't just seeing your video and the access control, or your access control and seeing a video, but the two have a symbiotic relationship to actually talk and communicate together.
I mean, I love it, dude. And honestly, it's like you look at like what's coming out of the industry as far as like new and innovative. Obviously, we talked about AI and computer vision. There's always new analytics coming out that we see at ISC West. But when I look at things like this, it just like makes sense. Like we talk about old analog systems or outdated systems, and you're still being able to use those systems, or the fact that you just mentioned, hey, we can have these systems talk to one another. I think because at the end of the day, all an end user cares about is if it's going to work in their environment, right? So it's like,
Absolutely.
if I can get, this product to talk to this product, and maybe those manufacturers don't like each other, but I can still use Hive Logic to make those products work together. It's one of those things, man, where at the end of the day, here in 2025, it's really what matters the most to the consumer and the market. So I guess, Nate, we talked about this, man, before we've kicked this off live, but I did have, Ryan Schofield, obviously from the CEO of HiveWatch. So I do want to make this differentiation here and just clear up any discrepancy. What's the difference between you guys and a company like HiveWatch that Ryan has?
Ryan does a really good job taking products, disparate, bringing them into his ecosystem using API calls, things like that. And he offers a GSOC as a service with a lot of intelligence into it. Ours is open. We don't have a GSOC, so that's not our main purpose and goal. Our main purpose and goal is to create that relationship between video and access control to be seamless. So actually, Ryan could end up being a really good partner for us by takeovers and things like that, and we'd pump him at his GSOC Global Security Operations Center. So just being able to take in 700, 1,000 different sites, the technology blend. His group does a really good job doing that, and then managing your alarms, your incidents, and your mass notification. We are the left of Bang and the right of Bang software to help identify those threats as they occur.
No, great to clear that up, man. Because I like seeing some of the stuff that Ryan does with his company.
Oh, absolutely.
He's working with some of the proprietary systems in the market, like the Verkatas of the world. He was able to, to work with. I guess for the product side, who are you all seeing a lot on the video and access control side? Are you seeing like the Milestones and Genetechs work well with you guys, and then the HIDs, the Mercuries, the Alpha Abloys, etc. on the access control side? What are you seeing?
On the video, no ifs, ands, or buts. We're a direct competitor with them. So we can live on prem, we can live in the cloud, and when we built this, we made it agnostic. So if somebody likes Azure, we can live in Azure. If they like AWS, we can live in AWS. If they want 100% on prem, we can be on prem. But it hit me when we started seeing some Verkada and Ava deployments. I'm like, man, you're paying a lot of money to store video and have access to it. So I started to pull out what matters. You don't want to record an empty warehouse or an empty room and pay AWS and Azure hosting fees and Google hosting fees. So I just pull out the incidents that matter, tag it, give it a unique identifier, and then store that anywhere you like. But where we're taking over a lot of Exact Vision, a lot of Genetech licenses, a lot of Milestone licenses. We got our first Vigilon takeover because we can repurpose those cameras, those sensors. But where people like that is our base product has intelligence in it. Parking suite, from the time you park to marrying it to the access control, making sure it's the right person coming in with the badge swipes. Occupancy counting's huge. So we take that existing infrastructure and make it intelligent, but they are a direct competitor to us. On the access control side, we are very friendly with Mercury, Azure. We've done a lot of ZK Techo integrations with those folks, and even got the Axis single door, two door, and they're coming out with a 16 that's primarily been on their shelf that can only be utilized by Genetech. We've been able to bring that into our ecosystem as well, and that is just so powerful because people can pick, they can mix, they can match. They can pick the access controller that they need to do the job without having to be married to a particular brand.
That's what I liked about seeing your booth, and I'll give a shout out to Imran. His summit obviously is next week. You know, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like y'all's booth because you guys have multiple different products at your booth, and there's lights and the configurations going on. I'm like what is this? You know, then you think about the name Hive. It's like, oh, it's like everyone is coming together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really cool to see. For my listeners or people that are watching this episode, you guys should check out Hive Logic's booth because I imagine you're going to be at ISC West as well.
Yes, we'll be at both. And that's some interesting news. I'm glad you asked. We are going to be in the iPro booth at ISC West.
Nice.
iPro, on every camera that they produce on their higher end cameras has a chipset in it called Ambarella. And we have successfully built our Hive OS for the first time ever. A camera can run your access control, video, and AI server free. So if you think about that, per FEMA and OSHA, you got to have a camera pointed at every exit. Why not have that camera be the brains for your access control? They have enough horsepower in that camera. We can run all of it, including our AI suite, onboard the camera server free. So you hang it, you can unlock a door, you can see what's going on, occupancy counting. It's going to be really exciting.
Truly on the edge, man. That's
Yeah.
that's wild, dude. I had a conversation, man, with David Sullivan not too long ago, president of AMAG Technology, and him and I were talking about the shift of Wiegand to OSDP to now mobile, and we were talking about challenges like that. And I was like, yeah, man, it's crazy because people still use Wiegand, people still use analog cameras, and then we were talking about cloud 10 years ago. Now we're talking about edge. We were talking about edge, honestly, like I think 5 years ago, but now that's true edge. You know, being able to use everything on the camera, serverless. That's a game changer, man. Huge.
Oh yeah. Yep. And it eliminates your single point of failure. If you've got a lot of companies that are moving your video and access control, they call it a cloud gateway or a gateway. This allows you to create redundancy by just doing something you want to do already. Upgrade camera views, change this. You now eliminate that single point of failure because if you have 20 cameras, you'd have to lose all 20 to lose your system instead of just one server.
Yeah, no, 100%. It makes sense. Nate, walk me through like where y'all play in the sandbox in the market, man. Is it SMB? Is it mid market? Is it enterprise? Maybe a certain vertical market that you guys playing better with? Walk me through kind of your customer ICP.
Yeah, we go direct to our channel. So we have Hive dealers, and we just signed up a big agreement with ScanSource Distribution. So you'll be able to purchase Hive Logic as a systems integrator right through ScanSource. And you know me, Taylor, there's go big or go home. So our first client was a huge NHL arena. So I should have started off smaller, but it was fun. It allowed us to get our documentation right, our deployment right for the system integrator that handles the account. But we dove in, and for the arena, it was really cool because we did all kinds of who came in this door versus that door. We tied into the CHEA weapons alert. So if the light went red, we tagged that as a unique identifier to make sure that the guard service was checking for that weapon after it went off. So it was a really good way to deploy the AI, get it out into the wild. So we went right from there to a medical office building, to a K through 12, and then landed some really large logistics because you can imagine just knowing where people are coming, packages, damaged packages. Really kind of unique use case story is from the time a package, the fuel tanks came off the truck, again, where the access control. So we got the door pop, tag it, they were able to show with video evidence that they didn't damage fuel tanks. And then we drew a boundary box for surface, and all they had to do was wheel the damaged fuel tank into that, and it started their ticketing system to get reimbursed. It was just a really cool non-security way to use the AI, and it saves them about 58,000 a month of paperwork. And he said, she said, so that was kind of a cool win. My one vertical that I'd like to close that gap on is the financial vertical. I'd love to win a bank or a credit union, because this would be really cool for that. I would say we are the variant killer, because I built intrusion using the video. So you don't need motions and glass breaks and stuff that you and I sold 20 years ago. You can actually use the system if it doesn't see people in it and the last employee left, it auto arms, and then it detects break-ins using what you already installed with the cameras. So need somebody out there to help me land that first financial vertical so we can cover all the big ones.
Man, it's interesting you bring up financial. That's like one market that I just don't have a lot of experience in. My experience has always been in like the Fortune 500 casinos or retailers or hospitals and schools, right? Data centers. But the financial institute, I mean, I think what I have learned about financial institutions is I think credit unions are typically a little bit easier to deal with than the big guys out there. And honestly, I think that you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that market, the financial institution market, they're resource constrained. I don't feel like they have a lot of resources in that market, like bodies as well as technology. And maybe they've got like multiple products too that they would need something like Hive Logic to bring that in together. Are you seeing that, or what are you seeing as far as that market?
It's a hard play because the competition needs to have that intrusion piece because of all the regulations that come along with banking. So I always say if you can build a product around financial services and energy, you can pretty much handle anybody because they're so tightly regulated. So if you set that at the bar, and then everybody else is going to be happy with, you're out of the box. But those folks have set the bar really high, but they don't have choice. A lot of them use Variant for that intrusion piece, or then you have to have mixed systems that are hard to manage. But with financial institutions, you're just dealing with so many locations, and being under that regulation, you don't know when that audit's coming, who went where, how long were they there. So a lot of our traditional systems, intrusion, access control, they don't have that enriched data set for reporting that banking need. So that's why a lot of it, you'll see financial institutions use Paycom, or they'll use Verint, and they do that because of the reporting structure. Those companies have built it so that the reporting that they hit report, it's in the way that they understand it and use it on a daily basis.
Well, I guess if anyone's listening to this podcast and is an expert in financial institutions, you should contact Nate.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Man, it's 2025. I guess some last final questions here, man. Appreciate you spending some time with me. I want to highlight the goals and kind of growth of the company this year, because you guys are about a year old now, almost a year old.
Yeah, we'll be a year old in May.
Okay, so walk me through some of the goals you have for this year. It's a new year. We're here still in January, but walk me through what's the main goal here for 2025.
Absolutely, it's all about growth. So expanding out our AI engineers, because we can build custom models. You'll get a lot of requests, which require a lot of pro services hours to build something that is impactful for a company that no one else can do out of the box. So you've got to actually build a model around their business. That's a big time restraint. That's huge for those folks. But what you're going to see at ISC West is our agentic. Just fully letting the public see it, understand it. And you've seen a lot of our things. I'm like, come learn what AI really means. But you're going to be able to ask the system, hey, create a card. Okay, what's his name? Taylor May. Does he have weekend access? No. And what you're going to see is the system off your voice creates that credential, shows you a view layout that you need. But more importantly, where we're able to ingest all that information in real time, I want to get to the left of bang, the predictive analysis of security, not just the right of bang when something bad happens, massification, locking the door, seeing it. So if Taylor, you come in every day and you badge in around 7:30, you go get a cup of coffee, then you go towards your office. But then all of a sudden on a weekend, you try to climb through a dock door. Maybe I take your HR records and ingest it and see, man, you were an excellent employee, but now you're struggling. Your performance is down. You're showing up late. There's attendance. And I take that, and I'm not saying Taylor is going to do something terrible, but I take that and I feed that to the organization. And now you're able to knock on that door and say, Taylor, is everything okay? You can take those resource dollars and save you as a colleague from quitting and having to pay the fees to find another Taylor. But you're also seeing if you can intervene with Taylor before he's a potential threat by just bringing out this data lives right now, but just no one's collecting it into one point except us. And I think that's a really powerful message. And I know schools are near and dear to your heart, but we can apply that to schools. And I'd much rather intervene with a young student that's struggling, not showing up on time, showing behavioral patterns, not doing, maybe they're using drugs in the bathroom. We detect that with detectors. But now you're able to take those resource dollars instead of blanketing everybody with junk HR emails and helplines. You're able to get ahead of it and almost predict and prevent those bad things that are happening. That's my personal goal for 2025.
That's incredible, dude. Honestly, because we talk about mental health is a huge thing, right? Mental health in school districts, especially at a young age, is crazy. But even the average workforce, you talk about retention and attrition of employees, but also just being on alert, not on alert, but like having the right intel to know, hey, if this person has had a trajectory of bad performance or underachieving, we want to know about that because we don't know if that person is going to cause self-harm or cause harm to the business or whatever it could be. But at least we never had that kind of data before. So the fact that you can bring in that data to give just a what if scenario, we instead of finding out after the fact, right? So I think that's incredible, man. I love that mission. That's a great mission for 2025.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's my dream.
I was gonna ask you, like, because typically how my podcast ends, man, it's like, what's the 60-second like pitch of your company, like a hot seat? But it's like, I feel like that's your best like sales pitch, right there.
Yeah,
I think that's it, man.
yeah.
Anything else you want to say, man, on the podcast while I have you?
Oh no, I appreciate you inviting me on. Look forward to seeing you in LA next week. I hope and pray all of our friends and colleagues that you and I know out there are doing okay. And people come out and learn a better way to protect their people and property together.
Amen, brother. Crazy wildfires or fires out there, man. So I do nothing but the best for our friends out there in LA and the state of California. But Nate, man, what if more people want to learn more about the company yourself? Where's the best place to do that, my friend?
You can go to our website, hivelogic.ai, or I'm a very personal people to people, as you know. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to add you and message you and come see you.
Nothing but the truth, man. You're 100% right. Love it. Well, guys and girls, that was Nate Green, the founder and CEO of Hive Logic. Go connect with him on LinkedIn. Go check out his company. And if you're going to the Imran Security and Safety Summit, go to that show. If not, you will see Nate and his team at ISC West. If you guys and girls want more information about our podcast series, make sure to follow us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us on our website at svip.news. And wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, the list goes on. We'll catch you guys on the next one.